Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're going to dive into a really practical guide for making a difference in the world. And it all starts with us. We're going to unpack some amazing wisdom from the Yoga Charavbhumi Shastra. Yeah, it's an ancient text, but you'll see it has a surprisingly modern blueprint for turning good intentions into real-world action. All right, let's just jump right in with a question that, well, I'm pretty sure we've all asked ourselves this. You know that feeling, right? You want to help, you want to make things better, but actually bridging that gap between feeling and doing, phew, that's the real challenge. And believe it or not, this text gives us a fascinating framework for exactly that. So, according to this blueprint, the whole journey doesn't start with some big, grand action. Nope, it starts with something inside, a really powerful mindset. It's called aspiration, or in the original, fashin, and you can think of this as the engine for everything else that follows. So, what is this aspiration exactly? Well, it's way more than just a fleeting thought, like a New Year's resolution we forget by February. It's a deep foundational commitment. It's about consciously pointing your entire life towards awakening. And here's the key part, not just for yourself, but for the good of absolutely everyone. Now, here's where it gets really interesting. Aspiration isn't just an on or off switch. The text is incredibly detailed, laying out 10 different kinds of aspiration. And the point isn't to judge them, but to help us get a clearer picture of our own motivations. So to make this all a bit easier to get our heads around, we can group these 10 types into these contrasting pairs. Think of it like a spectrum. Are my intentions kind of worldly, or are they genuinely realized? Are they a bit shaky, or really determined? Let's zoom in on a couple of these pairs because they are super relevant to, just being a person in the world. Okay, let's start with a really relatable one. Impure versus pure aspiration. So an impure motivation might be doing something good because you're scared of getting in trouble, or maybe you want people to think you're a great person. A pure aspiration, though, comes from a totally selfless place. You help just because it's the right thing to do, period. And this brings us to another key difference, weak versus strong aspiration. A weak intention, it just crumbles when things get tough. You get angry, you get tired, it feels inconvenient, and poof, the good intention is gone. But a strong aspiration, that's resilient. It becomes your compass, the thing that keeps you on track even when it's hard and nobody's even watching. So you see the crucial point here. Developing a pure, strong aspiration is step one. It's totally essential. It's the fuel in the tank. But a car full of fuel isn't going anywhere if you don't turn the key and start driving. So how do we actually bring this intention to life? This is where we get to the next part of the blueprint. The text lays out what it calls the 9 correct practices. This is the how-to manual. This is where a beautiful idea becomes something you can actually do in your life. Now, we're not going to go through all 9 today, but we are going to focus on 3 of the most powerful ones. And what makes them so brilliant is that they don't just give us a list of rules. They give us these vivid analogies, these mental models we can actually use to guide our behavior no matter the situation. The first analogy, and maybe the most important, is all about how we interact with other people, especially when they're struggling or need our help. The text gives us this incredible mental picture. It says, when you're dealing with others, act like a skilled, compassionate doctor with a patient. Just think about that for a second. That one simple idea can completely reframe how we approach helping people. So what does it mean to be a good doctor in our everyday lives? Well, first, you diagnose with empathy. You actually listen. You try to understand the real root of their problem without judging them. Second, you give them the right medicine, the help they actually need, not just a help that's easy or convenient for you to give. And third, and this is a big one, you do it all with selfless compassion. You're not looking for a thank you. You're not looking for anything in return. Okay, so that's a model for helping others. But what about our relationship with ourselves? The text then turns inward with another amazing analogy for how we should deal with our own imperfections and our own potential for growth. The image here is of a wise, patient guardian. I mean, think about it. How would a truly loving guardian treat a child who's still learning, still figuring things out? Definitely not with harshness, right? But with gentle, steady guidance. This is basically a radical call for self-compassion. It means we should nurture our own potential with patience. And when we mess up, and we all mess up, we don't beat ourselves up. No harsh self-criticism. Instead, we gently and consistently guide ourselves back to the path, just like that wise guardian would. All right, finally, the text gives us a really challenging analogy, and maybe a transformative one. for one of the hardest things we deal with: how to react when people hurt us, or make a mess of things, or just cause trouble. Now, this image is meant to be a little startling, because our normal reaction when someone soils us with their actions is anger or disgust or blame. This analogy is asking us to do the complete opposite. The takeaway here is just profound. A father doesn't get mad at the baby, right? He understands the baby is helpless and can't control itself. He just cleans up the mess with care. This asks us to see other people's harmful actions as a symptom of their own suffering or their own confusion. And so instead of lashing out in anger, our goal becomes to compassionately clean up the situation without blame, always separating the person from the act. So when we put all these pieces together, the powerful aspiration and these practical actions, what does this blueprint for changing the world actually look like in real life? The ultimate message is that this path isn't some abstract ideal for saints living in a monastery somewhere. It's incredibly practical. It's alive in our daily interactions, with our coworkers, with our families, and even with ourselves. Every single moment gives us a choice. Am I going to be the compassionate doctor right now, the patient guardian, the loving parent? And that really leaves us with a final thought. This isn't just information to absorb. It's a set of tools to be used. So the real question is, as you step out into your day tomorrow, which role will you try on? The doctor, the guardian, the parent? The choice, as they say, is yours.